Right, so yeah,
Sorry about my creaky chair.
creaky chair.
I'm trying to sit still.
Okay. So today we're going to talk about the changes in your Kundalini process, the Kriyas, because there's been some interesting adjustments.
Yeah.
So.
Should I start with that?
Yeah, why not? Let's start with that.
Sure. So, well, this is only recently, but they've just changed nature basically. So they were kind of flowy. There was a lot of flow to them, and now my breathing has kind of slowed down in between movements, almost to a complete stillness. The positions are kind of held for a while in this kind of no man's land, and then something will happen like really quickly like that. So they're just they've become more dramatic. The energy's kind of intensified. I don't know why, either just organically, or I've just been watching what I eat and drink a little bit more. I mean, I'm drinking beer now, but generally this energy, I think, prefers clean eating and things like that. But it doesn't demand it either. But I do think that if you eat well and kind of watch your weight, and if you do a lot of exercise, yoga, things like that, it just makes it easier for this energy to come through. I mean, health goes hand in hand with it, so it's always going to be able to use that to your advantage. And things like yoga, when you're going through this process very intensely, yoga's a good thing to do. I wouldn't... and you really just got to listen to your body. There was a phase where I couldn't do it. I kind of lost a lot of weight, and I could do a little bit of stretching, and that's just all I could do. And now a lot of strength has come back, so I can go to a hot yoga class, and when I come back, your energy just is so appreciative, because it's like, right, now I can take this leg and do it like that, and just fix it. It's like you're cleaning the pipes for this energy to come through. You're getting everything in order. It just makes it easy. It's not going to, you could eat McDonald's all day and drink beer. Once Kundalini is activated, it's going to stay activated. But you're just making your life easier for yourself unless the energy is too strong, which some people say that, and then you can calm it down by having a beer or eating a McDonald's or something like that.
Yeah, and it seems to be accompanied by sound as well, like
sound. Yes. Yeah,
so
the sound is involuntary, so that's what it sounds very like karate, like but it's just the suddenness of the jerky movement that just, I guess, activates your diaphragm, and I think that's just what's happening. The intensity just kind of pushes the diaphragm, and involuntary sounds might come out.
And again, you say there's no actual feeling to this,
this is the interesting thing I should mention, because I think a lot of the time when I'm doing these things, people may be wondering, what's he feeling? Is he in a state of ecstasy or rapture? And nothing of the sort. It's just energy moving around the body. So an arm doing that is just an arm doing that. It just feels the same as you lifting your own arm, except that you're not doing it, something else is. And then you can feel an intensification in the body. So when my hands come together to do these mudra, I just feel my fingertips, and you sense energy movement within, but it's not as dramatic as it makes it, as the movements make it look. The internals are not that dramatic. When it goes up here, it's quite dramatic, because there's a real squeegeeing, and then sort of as it's coming up the neck, and just like scrunching up here. Maybe that's the most. That's where I feel the most energy. I can literally feel it going up and activating that.
And is it just like located there? Like it's not coming the whole way up the spine or anything? It's just suddenly the energy is there,
yes, that's right. I don't feel it coming up the spine when that happens. I just feel it there. Though there have been moments where one time I was a little bit high and I was lying down, and I could feel the energy sort of almost like a snake, like white light, just sort of creeping its way up the spine. I guess that one time I felt that.
And there's no exhaustion with this. I mean, because it sounds very intense, and it's very, very physical. You would assume maybe you feel depleted.
Do you not know? And I think it's just connected to what I said earlier. I'm a very physical guy. I love running, working out, swimming, doing yoga, so I think my body can just take it. And it is depleting, it is exhausting, and that's why I sometimes just get up and walk away, because particularly like if you're doing that with your head, and I swear to God, sometimes it can go on for more than an hour. In fact, it doesn't stop unless I stop. It just goes on and on and on, and you're swirling around your head, and that after a while you just can't, you know, you just need a break, and then that's fine. You get up and walk away, and or you lie down, and it might attack a different area of your body. But there's no real exhaustion here. There might be for some people, but I think fitness comes into it, and I'm used to exerting a lot of energy, so it doesn't feel different from doing a workout and something like that. In the early days, I was just letting in this energy do what it wanted, and I couldn't work out. But like I say, a lot of strength has come back since that phase at the beginning where I lost a lot of weight, and it was kind of touch and go for a while, and that was so there's phases to this thing.
Because it hasn't affected your appetite either. Sure, it hasn't. And there's no mood swings with this. There's nothing of the.
No, at the beginnings I had mood swings, and that's something that I read about. And they're quite interesting, like just suddenly shouting at someone for no reason.
Right.
And I thought about those, and I think part of the reason might be that you're losing your sense of self, so something that you wouldn't have expressed in the past is suddenly being expressed in a very energetic way. Whereas in the past, if you were a bit of a pushover, you're like, well, don't say that, you know, so people expect you to be a certain way, and then you might suddenly go, will you stop that? And then people go, oh, that's not like him, he's having a mood swing. No, it is you're just expressing what you're feeling in that moment. But compared to how you were before, that might, compared to what you're used to, you know, from yourself, used to being from your perspective and from other people's perspective, it seem like a mood swing, but it's just expression. So
it's just expression, so like it wouldn't necessarily, so say you said stop this or whatever, it wouldn't necessarily have a big feeling behind it?
No, I'm surprised maybe. Like I've done loads of stuff like that during this process. Much more at the beginning. Things do seem to have evened out.
Yeah.
But at the beginning, there's lots of that sort of thing going on. And yeah, it was a bit of a shock for a while. It was like, oh no, what have I said? You know what's going on, and you know you might ruminate over it for a while, but it doesn't slow down the process.
Okay.
Yeah.
And have you noticed any difference mind-wise throughout this process?
No, my personality is exactly the same. I've not noticed any different. I mean, there's more sense of awareness, I guess, presence, if you want to call it that. Like when I walk to work, I'm just staring at the trees a lot. I don't know why. I'm fascinated by, you know, there's that kind of immersion in nature, and I don't know. I do a lot of that. But psychologically, my thoughts are very much the same. I've always been quite a silly character, you know, very sort of absurdist, and I like to write poetry and be silly and just fun-loving guy, and that's all been untouched. You know, if I went to talk to my family now, they won't have a clue that anything's different. Not if I spoke to them on the phone anyway. They might tell that there's a relaxation in the body, or they might notice some changes, but it you know, not personality-wise, no. But I know that you have had some changes in psychology.
Yeah, I know, because sometimes it could be instantaneous without necessarily something making sense or joining the dots on something, just a spontaneous awareness of an issue apparently to come up, and that seems to be the case here, as well as having other dimensional experiences.
Yes.
The psychology's played out in that, which makes sense to me. So I'm curious about that, but who knows? Who knows? Maybe. Do you want is there anything you quite happy with the way you are at the minute? It's not. Okay, so you really enjoy it.
Yeah, but I've always been happy with the way I was. Even in pre-awakening, I was very comfortable in my own skin. I was sort of. I was described as a very chilled out guy, very zen-like, very sort of go with the flow. So I think once I had the awakening, this energy, it can just use me. It's just kind of got me by the balls, because I'm not going to resist anything. I'm just like, whatever, you know. So it's just, I think that maybe that's what's happening here. Maybe that's why it's intense, because there's not a lot of resistance, quite simply. There's not a lot of agitation, or, you know, I've just always just kind of been like, meh. I was always a bit like that anyway, a bit kind of like, what will be, you know, we're going to die, it's fine, you know, just keep ticking until you know, just... Yeah, don't worry. You know, that's what people would generally hear say. Don't worry about it. So I've always been kind of like that anyway. You know.
Do you like to take time outs from this, or is it not like that? You know, because obviously it just seems like when you allow it, in a sense, the creative start.
Yeah. I can only do it for so long. At the beginning, I'd have all these movements, and there seemed to be at the beginning a really definite ending to the Kriya session, and usually my hand would go to my belly in a very sort of elegant manner, and my hand would go to there. And that's how people then tend to end yoga classes when I go to yoga classes. But that was just happening naturally, like boom, boom, and then I just lie there and it's like, we're done, great.
Okay.
And now it's just mad, and there doesn't seem to be a definitive end to it unless I literally go, I can't, and or maybe I can, but I'm just tired and I just walk away. And sometimes it comes to a close or a moment of stillness, and I'll walk away, but I do get the sense that if I carried on lying there for 2 minutes, it would pick up again.
And there's no fear around this at all, even though it can be really intense at times?
Not in the slightest at the moment. There was at the beginning, but the fear didn't come from the Kriya. I mean, it is really weird at the beginning. I'm just so used to it now. Like when you see your hands moving of their own accord for the first time, that moment, I'd be lying in bed, and at first it was like shoulder movements, and then you're sort of like, sorry, what? What is going on? And I still feel like that. I'm still in that what is going on stage. But the Kriya were never a problem. Not the problem, but the tricky part is that, for here anyway, maybe for most people it's slow, the difference, the sudden difference between one state of being or conscious, one state of when, and this was so sudden that I just felt like I was walking around like I remember walking to work, and one time I cried my way to work. I was just weeping, just walking and weeping. I don't know why, some sort of cathartic release. And then I got to work, and I didn't know if I could go through the door or not, or what would happen, because I didn't know how I normally react, almost like I couldn't, what do I say? Will I be normal? Because I didn't feel normal.
Right.
So I was just worried if I could do my job. And then as soon as I walked through the door, people are talking to me and a response is coming out. And I was like, oh, it's fine. I don't need whatever was there in the way. In fact, that was just getting in the way. In fact, there's more flow when that sense of self drops away. There's more flow to a conversation. It's more natural. It's more easy anyway. But there was this real sense that I think I'm going to screw everything up and look like a crazy person, but it wasn't at all. And another time I walked into work and it was a full moon, and I was just making animalistic noises. It takes me about 25 minutes, half an hour. I was just going like I thought, am I turning into a werewolf? What's happening here? And then, but if people were walking by, be like, oh, how are you doing? I'm fine. Thinking, yeah, I'm good. And then, and I make those noises sometimes when they're Kriya intent as well. Like there's a real animalistic side to it, a real like full moon transformation thing going on. The you remember at those moments that we're animals, and there's something primeval going on with this energy. It's really primeval. It feels,
Yeah, and you kind of said it likes to express itself through dance.
Yes, here anyway. I think I've not heard that many talk about it this way. I know. I'm going to blank on his name. Doesn't matter. But there's a guy who's a non-dual speaker, and he talks about Frank Yang. He's very into. He used to be a bodybuilder, and he's very into the body and getting into the body. And so he talks about working out and the benefits of that, and very interesting guy. But I don't know that many people who talk about dance, and I have to say that the passion that I feel with Kundalini is very much the same passion that I've always felt when I'm in a club and a song comes on that I like, and I just can't help myself. Like the self-consciousness will kind of go, especially if I've had a couple of beers. And I've always just gone mental, just wanting to, it just does something to me. If I listen to Pink Floyd guitar solos, it just takes you into sort of transcendent space, and I think that is connected to this energy. And if you can dance, I recommend that to anyone who's interested in Kundalini or has, if you've got a passion, just go out and dance, because when you're dancing in a way that's not self-conscious and you're not afraid to move in a feminine way, and you're doing whatever the body really wants to do, of its own accord, then that can really raise your vibration. So I just love it. I love going out. I love dancing, and I wonder if all these ancient traditions in places like Africa, drumming and trance, when you see these tribes going and they're all kind of doing that, if that's not a Kundalini thing.
So is that quite grounding as well, the dance, or is it not about that so much? It's just a way of expressing it?
Yeah, I wouldn't call it grounding.
Okay.
It's just the freedom of expression, which can happen through art or anything, I suppose. It's just for here, there's a particular love for that type of movement, just for movement in general. And I've never been a meditator. I've never been one of these people who can just sit. Frank Yan did this, and he did the physical stuff and the meditating. He was really committed to just sitting there, and I've just not been able to do that. I did a lot of Eckhart Tolle type stuff. I took on his suggestions where he said don't worry about having a meditation practice. Just when you're walking around throughout the day, you can return your attention to your breath or to your body, take it out of your mind. So in the past I did a lot of that type of thing, but I think everyone's just so different, so there's no reason why my process should be like anyone else's process. It is really so different, and some people are more who are into kinesthetics, you know, movement and body and yoga, and they do it that way, and other people will just sit very quietly in a room and do it that way, you know, and ultimately it's just being done, I suppose, organically anyway. But
I think that's what's interesting about the whole Kundalini thing. It's just every process is so radically different, and they don't fit in with the books. The books are a sort of guide, give you a sense of something, but
that's right.
Yours is very energetic. Some could be more visual, but you've got visual stuff as well. But it's like, and but normally Kriya, from what I've read and what I've learned about it, is not as as extreme, as ongoing as yours is. I think it's
particularly dramatic. Yeah, I've seen footage of people going through Kriya on YouTube. You can find, and there might be people who are not posting it or don't want to share it. It's a very personal thing for some people, so you wouldn't necessarily want to post it online like I do. I'm an actor, and I studied drama, and I spent my life touring in theatre companies and putting myself in front of people, talking in front of the camera, you know. So I have no problem with just exposing myself. Like, look at this shit, you know. I just really don't. I have no problem with that, and I'm quite expressive, so I enjoy talking about it, you know.
And you like swimming? You were talking about the...
Oh yeah! I mean, I'm not a particularly good swimmer, but I've done a lot of... when I went to Germany for the first time in a touring theatre company, the saunas there are incredible, and they have these huge spas. Every town that has the name Bad in it, like Bad Sorden or Bad Sassendorf, these towns have... And Bad means bath, so they have these bath towns. It's traditional, so they all go in and they're completely nude. It was a bit of a shock the first time I went, and you get used to it. And you just sit in these beautiful saunas, and you would automatically enter like a meditative state in the sauna, because you can't think properly in there once you get to a certain level of heat.
Right.
But the heat felt good, and it was intense, and you just, you go into your inner body, and you go very still, and I love that, especially when you're touring with actors, and there's 3 or 4 people in the group for like 11 months, you've got to get away. So that was a source of comfort, and then what I'd do is I'd get out, and I'd go into these cold, freezing plunge pools, and I would realise that if I came out of the heat, and went into the cold, it was a bit of a shock, obviously, but then it feels really good, and I've become quite still, and I started to just see how long I could hold my breath, because I'd go into these peaceful states where I just kind of... I did it today, actually, in the sauna near here. I would just sort of... It might be a bit weird to look at because I look like I'm dead, but I just float like a dead person and see just how long I was comfortable until I needed to take a breath. And it turns out, with the heat and the cold, you can stay. Well, I felt like I could stay there for a long time. I don't recommend these practices, by the way, unless you find it interesting. Don't go and drown yourself. But and then I would just kind of be floating, and the thought would come like, you should probably take a breath around now. It seems like it's been a while, and I was just like, obviously eventually I would, but I would often do it because I felt like I should, not necessarily like I needed to. Today I did that. It's like, I think it's been a while, so I got up, and I think I pushed it a bit far, and I was on the side of the pool, and I was kind of like, my breathing had really slowed down. And then I turned around, and there was a security guy with a stick, and I think he was about to poke me to see if I was dead. And I don't think I was in there that long, but maybe it was a bit longer than I intended to. And then I sat down, and then very slowly the breathing returned. And I've always done that anyway, but because the Kriya at the moment, they're doing a lot of... The breath is kind of slowing a lot. Funny, the movements have become more dramatic, but the breath has slowed and sometimes stops, or sometimes it will stop it on purpose. So I just wondered. I was like, I wonder if I have more breath support now. So it was a little experiment, but you've got to be careful with these things. And I think I did go a bit limp, and I just thought, it's probably wise to push it too far. But I think the Kundalini appreciates all those things because it's working on your body, and the more it's just giving it more to work with.
I suppose it's like spontaneous pranayama, or like all those techniques to slow down the breath. It's just happening.
Yeah, it does
automatically.
It for you.
Spontaneous yoga, like you were saying.
Yeah.
So it's spontaneous sound. It's all.
It does it all for you. It does it all for you, and I think that's what I read about Kundalini. I think in Buddhism, I think it's connected to what they call flow. What's the word? I'm so bad with the terminology. Not flow state, stream entry, where you feel like you're meditating, you're in spiritual path, you feel like you're meditating really hard for a while, and then something else takes over, and at that point you put your feet in the stream and it's just taking you. So it's in that sense you can just kind of not worry too much about what you should or shouldn't do, because you're no longer in control. I mean, you probably never really were, but felt like you were, and then when you realise you're not, something else can take over, it seems, and it just kind of it does it all automatically.
Is there kind of excitement around it, or
hell yeah,
right,
I'm so excited about it. Yeah, I just can't believe it. It's I'm just blown away by it.
So it's kind of curiosity where it goes, if anywhere.
That's why I'm talking about it. I can't stop talking about it.
Okay, right.
Idea what's going on.
Yeah.
And I've got people notice the difference. Work, and I don't know what to tell people. I don't know if so that's why these meetings are great, because I can express. And where am I going to go? I'm not going to go, hey, I had a Kundalini awakening. Spontaneous movements. Look at this. They're just going to go get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's just radical. It's radical.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm totally excited. Yeah.
Cool.
I don't know what's happening, but I'm excited. Don't know what's going on, but I'm excited.
Yeah, and it's shifting. That's the interesting thing as well. It's changing. So.
It is. It's changing, and I know it changes sort of week to week.